And we back. Now in today's video, we're going to go to some of those Instagram pages that I like, the NBA related ones, and kind of give our opinions on some of the posts. We usually agree or disagree with the posts, and we tell each other why. Let's get over to the first one. The first one comes from Your NBA Opinions, and they say Zach Lavine would average 20 points per game. I'm like 90% sure he will. He averaged 19 points per game 2 years ago behind Karl-Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins. So right now in Chicago, he's our number one option, especially with Lowry being out. He's going to be our shot taker. He's going to be our shot maker. If you look at our roster, we don't have that many shot creating guys except for Zach Lavine. If you look at Zach Lavine's history, one of the major knocks on him besides his defense is that he's not that efficient from the field. But if we look at preseason, and again, you don't want to overreact to preseason, but it looked like he's taking steps in the right direction when it comes to his efficiency. Very rarely in the preseason did I see him take a shot and I'm like, you know what, Zach, that probably wasn't it. He was getting to the basket the way you want a guy his athletic to do. And then the shots that he was taking were very efficient and very open shots. So I like the way Zach Lavine is going this year, man. I am like 90% sure he will average 20 points per game. A lot of people have him inked in as their most improved player, and I would love that. I would love to see that. It's been a minute since we had an award here in Chicago. Oh, yeah, who was our last award? Was it Defensive Player of the Year for Joakim Noah, or was it Coach of the Year with Thibodeau? It was during that era, the last time we had somebody on our team win an award. So I'd be super excited for that. Y'all know I'm going to be at a couple Bulls games this season. I don't know which ones exactly, but just know that at least in one of those games, I'll be rocking that number 8. Next one comes from NBA Confessions, and they say, with Murray out for the season, the Spurs no longer look like a playoff team. I agree with this. If you watch the bold prediction video we made over a House of Highlights with my co-host, this was my boldest prediction, that the Spurs will not make the playoffs. And it's a bold prediction for a reason, because the Spurs have made the playoffs for 20 straight years. Doesn't matter what their roster looks like, Greg Popovich and whoever he put together usually make the playoffs. But every streak has to come to an end eventually. And with the trade of now getting rid of Kawhi Leonard, and now, of course, they have DeMar DeRozan, with DeJounte Murray being out, with no longer having Manu, with no longer having Tony Parker, no Danny Green, they have so many moving pieces that we're used to seeing on the Spurs roster gone. And I feel like this may be a year where they need to gel. And their young up-and-coming point guard, their starting point guard, is out with an injury. And not only that, their backup point guard, who they were going to start, Derek White, is out with an injury. Now Patty Mills, who they wanted to keep on their bench, is probably going to have to start for them. And if you ask me, Patty Mills ain't really the answer at the starting point guard position. But this is my bold prediction. I still can see the Spurs making the playoffs because they still have DeMar DeRozan, they still have LaMarcus Aldridge, and they still have Greg Popovich. So that's why it's a bold prediction, because the Spurs still have a decent roster. But just now with all the moving pieces, I believe that this may be the year they fall out of the playoffs, which is cool. I saw somebody on Reddit say this, that this could be the year where they do what they did with Tim Duncan. The year that they got Tim Duncan, their team was not a bad team, but they ended up in the lottery due to injuries and stuff. And now they draft Tim Duncan, they got the Admiral back from his injury, and boom, they going on to win championships. Maybe this is the year they do something similar. They lose in the lot, they end up in the lottery, they draft well, the next year they're back in contention. I don't know, but that was just something somebody on Reddit said, and I was like, that makes a lot of sense to me. Westbrook without athleticism is no better than Rondo. This may be one of the worst posts I've ever seen. Part of sports is athleticism. So if you get rid of somebody's athleticism, they're no longer an athlete. So technically, if Westbrook didn't have athleticism, he wouldn't be in the NBA. So I don't really understand what this question is asking me. If you take the athleticism off any NBA player, they're not an NBA player anymore. It makes no sense. This makes no sense, but I had to talk. It makes no sense. Isaiah Thomas' success in Boston was mostly attributed to the phenomenal coaching of Brad Stevens. I can understand when people have this idea, because Brad Stevens has continuously turned players that may not be great into players that turn out to be pretty good. Jay Crowder, you could say Terry Rozier, who's right behind me, is a product of Brad Stevens' system, but I'm going to go with no. Because even before Isaiah Thomas was in Boston, he was still a bucket getter. He may have not been an MVP candidate like he was in Boston, but he was still a bucket getter. It's not like Brad Stevens took a guy who averaged 0 points per game and turned him into a star. No, it was both. Isaiah Thomas was a bucket getter, and then you put him in the perfect system, and boom, you got the MVP candidate. So you can't give Brad Stevens all the credit, because at the end of the day, Isaiah Thomas was the guy taking over in the fourth quarter. Brad Stevens is an amazing coach. He's my favorite coach in the league. He's my pick for coach of the year finally, because nobody has been voted for him for coach of the year over the past couple years, even though he's been the best coach. But Isaiah Thomas was still a bucket getter before Boston. And I think people have this opinion because he got traded to Cleveland and he was trash. But you got to remember, his hip was done for, and it might still be done for. And then he goes to LA. He plays, but his hip is still done. Like, he's not going to play the first couple games of the season because his hips are still not good. So I think the perception of Isaiah Thomas has changed because of how he performed after the trade, when a lot of it has to do with his injury. Yes, Brad Stevens probably did elevate him, but it's not like Isaiah Thomas was a bum. Somebody sent me this post, and I guess we're supposed to determine who this player is with the blur on. Only thing I can tell is he's got a yellow jersey on, so I'm guessing it's a Laker. We're going to go to the next one. This actually doesn't help at all. I'm going to go with LeBron because it's the Lakers, and I feel like, if anything, they'll have it LeBron. I think that's Lance Stephenson. It is Lance Stephenson. Boom. All right, so we did get it wrong originally. But actually, that's pretty dope. Is there another one on this page? Okay, here's another one. That's green. Is that green? That's definitely green. I'm going to go with Gordon Hayward on my first guess. Or Paul Pierce. See, that can either be a light-skinned brother or a white man. Paul Pierce. Terry Rozier. It's literally the guy behind me. Yo, this is actually pretty tough. Wow. Okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to save all of these for another video. Oh, he doesn't have that many of them. I feel like those would be fire videos. Shout out to NBA District. Hopefully you're watching this video because you follow me on the gram. Yo, those are tight. If you're watching this video, make more of these, and I'm going to make a whole video on guess that player when it's blurred out. But let's get to the next post. Actually, we're going to stay with the same page. This is something that I'm thinking about doing. Let me know in the comment section below if you think it's a good idea. Me redrafting previous draft classes. So they did it with the 2013 draft class. If you knew what we knew today, this is the order he believes it would go to. So the first pick would be Giannis. Giannis was drafted 15th, but we know Giannis to be a superstar now. So every GM would be like, you know what? If I knew he was a superstar, I would have picked him. But there was one general manager. Y'all know the NBA surveys. Actually, let me go to the 2013 NBA surveys. So the question is, which rookie will be the best player in 5 years? The #1 vote getter was Victor Oladipo. That makes sense. I guess right now it's 5 years because it's 2013 to 2018. Yes. So most of the GMs did a pretty good job of picking Victor Oladipo. But there was one general manager that picked Giannis. Who was that general manager that guessed that Giannis is going to be the best player in 5 years? Nobody else knew that except for that one general manager. We don't get the names, but I wish we did, yo, because he predicted that Giannis, this guy from Greece, that when he was drafted, people were like, who? It would turn into a star. He was right. And then they were not wrong either, because Victor Oladipo, 5 years later, is a star too. But okay, let's get back to the original post, which was this. I would honestly put Rudy Gobert over CJ. I think this guy got a lot of them right. I think Andre Roberson will probably be a little bit higher for me, maybe number 10. But other than that, pretty good. It will take me a long time to do this, but let me know if you want to see me redraft previous draft classes. James Harden is a top 5 shooting guard of all time. Yep. If he retired right now, he'd probably be in my top 5. We got Jordan. We got Kobe. We got Wade and AI. I don't know which one I want number 3. I probably put Wade number 3, AI number 4, and then I'd put James Harden. And then some people in the comment section may say, where's Jerry West? I didn't see Jerry West play. I'm sorry. So usually I just go off what I've personally seen. And James Harden is there. When it's all said and done, James Harden may be the 3rd best shooting guard of all time. He may be. Only time will tell. He's still relatively young. He's still got a couple more years of his prime. When it's all said and done, he may be the 3rd best point guard of all time. James Harden is one of the best offensive guards we've ever had. Just like in pure offensive game, he's got it. The way he plays the game may infuriate a lot of people. He draws a lot of fouls on some stuff that you may not think is a foul. But that's part of his tactic of his offense. James Harden's a dog. So yeah, he's top 5 right now. He may be even higher when it's all said and done. Brandon Ingram is LeBron's new sidekick. he is right now. I want Brandon Ingram to have a very, very good career. I want him to have a very, very good season, you know. There's a lot of pressure on his shoulders right now. They got LeBron, and they're looking at him to be that number 2 option. Where historically, when we talk about good LeBron teams, he's had some pretty good number 2 options. Last year, he had Kevin Love. Years before that, he had Kyrie Irving. Years before that, he had Dwayne Wade. And then years before that, it don't matter because those teams are trash. It was just LeBron James. Brandon Ingram has a lot on his shoulders right now. And if you ask me, I don't think he should, man. This year is not going to be a very great year for the LA Lakers. They won't be fighting really for a championship spot. I need Brandon Ingram to take this year to, I would love to see him average a dub. Take that next step. I think he averaged 16 last year. Take that next step and average a dub. And then this offseason, they'll probably have enough, they will have enough money to sign another big name free agent. And now Brandon Ingram doesn't need to be option number 2. He can slide back to option number 3. And I think that may fit his game a little bit more because y'all gotta think about it. Brandon Ingram is what, 21, 22 years old? That's very, very young in terms of NBA years. So him being a number 3 option, I think will be better for the squad for that time period. But I could definitely see Brandon Ingram having a great career and just being pretty good. So thank you so much for watching this video. We got 11 games on the slate tonight, and I am super excited because we get to see almost every team. Almost every team. There's still some teams that have not played yet, like my Bulls. But that's for tomorrow. Thank y'all so much. This has been Kenny. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. A like helps grow Team No Overtime, and y'all know we trying to grow every single day. I appreciate all the support. We'll be back tomorrow because, you know, NBA season started, so the grind don't stop. Peace.